And that is really dark there tonight. Here, let's see if I can... We'll readjust here. Hey, that's a little better. Alright, sorry about that. Hello again, everybody. I am honored to see you all back again today for number 53. And again, I'm a little late on this one because this one is really hard. But my list is getting close to being done, so please just keep watching and sharing. Tell the whole world why we are all so beautiful, why every piece of us matters. Please share this and help me tell the world why it all matters. Every part, good and bad. Okay, so like I said, this one is one of the deepest scars in me, and it's a really big one. This one is going to hurt a lot for me to talk about, but I still want to share this with all of you to show and explain how our very existence really does matter in the lives of others. Okay, so again, on my last year of probation, and shortly before being released, my grandfather on my birth mother's side passed away. And when he did, was the first time in several years that I made time and decided to have contact with anyone from my birth mother's side of the family. And it was really hard on all of us. And even though it was really uncomfortable for me to be there, it was important that I was. And I was glad to be. I gotta take a second to explain really quick that right about the time I was 13, 14 years old, my birth mother had actually taken steps to straighten out her life and clean up all her shit, and had truly and honestly attempted from that point to reconnect with me and be my mom again. And I have always deflected her attempts to do so. And I am the one that chooses to keep my distance from her. This has confused and hurt her for many, many years now. And I'm sure it probably confuses all of you. But I'm about to explain why I've always chosen not to be part of her world, part of her life. During the days and the weeks surrounding the funeral, I got to know this side of my family again. Like I said, reconnecting after having not talked to them in so long. My grandmother, my sister, my mother. I got to see how they all interacted with each other, how they all treated each other. And in a lot of ways, it was like experiencing another dimension. These are all people that I had grown up with, that I had known and loved my whole life, that were family. Yet I had an overwhelming feeling that I could not understand, of just not belonging. Nobody has ever said or done anything that makes me feel that way. Rationally, I know that all of these people love me, and that yes, they consider me their family too. I'm part of the family. But something still just felt wrong. Like a world I just don't belong in. My separation from this side of my family came about from some very big and touchy things that happened that I am not at liberty to reveal. And I have always felt awkward among them for many of those reasons. Because this side of my family does not live in the same light of that truth as I do. And because of it, pretty much immediately after the funeral, I began to distance myself from this side of my family once more. And that is where this woman comes in. Because as I began to try and quietly dip out of all of their lives once more, she asked me to come to her house for a visit. Just once. To come and talk with her. And I was beyond hesitant, but I agreed. Everything I was doing in my life at the time was all about healing and recognizing responsibility for your actions and forgiveness for other people's actions. So I went, and her and I talked as adults for the first time about everything. I asked her a multitude of painful questions and let her ask me plenty of her own. And for the first and only time in my life, I got to hear from her own mouth the truth about certain pieces of my childhood. Her words, her perspective, her wrongs, the truth about her side of the story. And there were many things she told me that day that did indeed hurt. But it allowed me to see from her point of view, to understand why she chose the way she chose, why she did the things she did. I was just coming up on 27 years old that year. By this point, I had already forgiven her for my pain years and years beforehand. But that day gave me the one puzzle piece I didn't have before. Truth. And by virtue of the truth, the ability to understand. But she still begged me that day to forgive her. I weakly tried to explain that I already had, but unfortunately, neither forgiveness nor understanding is enough for me to let her back into my life or to make me part of hers. Because the biggest thing I always tell people that being on felony probation taught me is that the truth is always the best path. And I've worked very hard in my life to literally, in all areas of myself, live by the truth. Because we all know the saying about how truth hurts. What we aren't told is that the truth most often equally hurts the one who has to say it, just as much as the one it's being told to. My personal opinion is that as a society, that is one of the main reasons we are all conditioned to lie. To keep from hurting each other more. To protect each other. But it never works that way. Because the longer the other person believes the lie, the more painful it will be when it does come to light. And the truth always does. We can't run from it. And we shouldn't feel like we have to. We should all feel free to be true about and to ourselves as well as others, good and bad. So, this one goes to my mother, Jody. Episode 53 is for you. Because you saved my life that day by giving me the truth. And that is more valuable than you could ever imagine. You asked for forgiveness that day, and I couldn't explain to you why I had already forgiven you. That my choice of being distant wasn't about being angry anymore. I hope this explains it a little better. I do still love and care about you, very deeply. You gave me life, and that isn't something that can be ignored. But if I am choosing to live my life in the light of truth, then the truth is that I do not feel like I am truly part of your family, your world. I still love every one of your family members as family of my own. And I still try to go visit Grandma more and more often. But I keep my distance because I feel like me and my words of truth do not fit in your world. And that's okay. You still belong on this list because you were the last internal battle that I had to learn to push me the rest of the way through probation successfully. And you have no idea how hearing your truth from your side was so very needed in order for me to heal the leftover wounds I still carried. Everything about who you are, what you have been through, and what you have done is valuable and important in this world. I am honored that you are part of my story, even if it's not as the title of Mom. You still matter, and you will always matter. Episode 53. Jody.